At the Mitchell family home in Connecticut, Sunday dinners were a tradition. Everyone was expected to show up, dress well, mind sharper than the knives at the table. Olivia Mitchell, 29, sat quietly at the far end of the long dining table. The smell of rosemary chicken filled the air. Her older brother, Jeremy, a Harvard Law graduate, was in the middle of another story about closing a high stakes case in Manhattan. Their father, Dr. Samuel Mitchell, nodded proudly. He was a well-known surgeon. Their mother, Denise, sipped her wine and smiled as if the world were exactly as it should be. And Olivia? She stirred her peas. Liv, how's that art project going? Jeremy asked, smirking just enough to draw a laugh from their younger sister Elise, a neurosurgeon in training. It's not art, Olivia said softly. I'm working on software. Jeremy raised an eyebrow. Software? Like for an app? Sort of, she replied. It's a platform to connect small businesses with AI tools. Think virtual assistants, but smarter, cheaper, localized. Their mother chuckled lightly. Oh, sweetie, that's adorable. But you should really think about something stable. Maybe teaching, Dr. Mitchell added. There's nothing wrong with creative hobbies, Liv, but you're almost 30. It might be time to focus. Olivia clenched her fork tighter, but she didn't argue. Not yet. She had been building her company quietly for over 2 years. She coded at night, studied business models during lunch breaks, and poured every dollar from her side jobs into the startup. She'd even pitched it to angel investors under a fake name, Olive Maddox, to avoid questions from her family. And now, her company, Code Kindle, had just signed its first contract with a regional bank, but she hadn't told anyone. Not yet, because she knew what they'd say. Later that night, Olivia sat on the floor of her small studio apartment in New Haven, laptop open, screens glowing with code and metrics. Her best friend and roommate, Zoe, peeked over her shoulder. You seriously didn't tell them about the contract? Olivia shook her head. Why bother? They'd just say it's cute or temporary. Zoe rolled her eyes. You're launching a tech company that could replace half of what freelancers do with better AI. You're not knitting scarves. Olivia smiled, tired but grateful. Thanks. Zoe flopped down on the couch. One day, you're gonna walk into that house and blow their minds. Maybe, Olivia said quietly. But I want the success to speak first, not me. The next few weeks moved fast. Her new client, the regional bank, loved the early version of her product. They asked for expanded features. Word spread. A second company reached out, then a third. Investors began showing real interest. Still, Olivia told no one in her family, not until she had something they couldn't ignore. 2 months later, an email arrived that made her freeze mid-step. Subject: TechNext finalist notification. Dear Olivia Mitchell, congratulations. Your startup Code Kindle has been selected as one of 5 national finalists for the TechNext Emerging Innovators Grant. She blinked. TechNext was huge. Hundreds of startups applied each year. Only 5 made it. The winner would receive $500,000 in funding and a partnership with 2 major tech firms. She called Zoe immediately, her voice shaking with excitement. I made the final 5. Zoe screamed. Liv, this is it. The following Sunday, dinner was different. Jeremy had big news. He and his girlfriend Emma were getting engaged. The whole family clapped. Champagne was poured. Denise teared up. They didn't notice Olivia barely touched her food. She was thinking about the dinner next week, the one Jeremy had planned to celebrate the engagement. Everyone important would be there, and she had an idea. After dinner, Olivia pulled her father aside. Her hands were cold, but her voice stayed steady. Dad, she said, would it be okay if I gave a short toast at Jeremy's engagement dinner next week? He looked surprised but nodded. Of course, sweetheart, a toast would be lovely. Olivia smiled. She would finally speak, not just as Olivia, the quiet one, the shadow at the table, but as Olivia Mitchell, founder of Code Kindle, finalist for TechNext, the woman they'd underestimated one too many times. Next week, everything would change. The following Saturday, Olivia stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the simple black dress she had chosen for Jeremy's engagement dinner. Her hair was in a sleek bun, and she wore the silver bracelet Zoe had given her the day she landed her first client. You ready to blow their minds? Zoe asked from the doorway. Olivia took a deep breath. I hope so. You don't hope, Zoe said, handing her a flash drive. You know, the event was held at the Gilded Elm, a fancy restaurant in downtown Hartford. The Mitchells had rented a private room with crystal chandeliers, a live pianist, and rows of tables covered in white linens. Friends, family, co-workers, everyone who mattered in Jeremy's life was there. His fiancée, Emma, looked elegant in emerald green. The room buzzed with compliments and congratulations. Olivia stood near the back, waiting. She had rehearsed her speech a dozen times, practiced every word, every pause. She even had a small video prepared, just 90 seconds long. At 8:30 p.m., her father tapped a glass for attention. Ladies and gentlemen, he said with pride, thank you for coming to celebrate the engagement of our son, Jeremy, and his wonderful fiancée, Emma. We are so proud of them both. The room applauded. And now Dr. Mitchell continued. Olivia would like to say a few words. A few guests clapped politely. Jeremy raised his eyebrows in surprise. Emma smiled sweetly. Elise looked puzzled. Olivia walked to the front slowly, flash drive in hand. Her voice trembled at first. Hi everyone, I won't take much of your time. I know this is Jeremy and Emma's night, but I've kept something quiet for a long time, and tonight feels right to share it. She turned toward the restaurant staff. Could you play the video, please? The lights dimmed. The screen behind her flickered on. A sleek, modern logo appeared. Code Kindle. Upbeat music played as animated clips showed small business owners using her platform. A bakery, a local mechanic, a tutoring center. Then came the stats. Over 40 businesses served in 3 months. 2 national partnerships in progress. Finalist, TechNext Emerging Innovators Grant. The screen faded to black with one line. Built by Olivia Mitchell. Silence. Then light applause. Then more. People turned to look at Olivia. Her father blinked. Her mother stared, lips slightly parted. Elise looked confused. Jeremy folded his arms slowly. I started building Code Kindle 2 years ago, Olivia said calmly. I used the money from my side jobs, coded nights and weekends, and pitched under a fake name just to be taken seriously. Last week, I found out I'm a national finalist, and I wanted you to hear it from me. She looked at her brother and smiled. Jeremy, I admire what you've achieved. I always have, but I'm proud of myself too. I just thought it was time you all knew who I really am. She stepped back from the microphone. For a moment, no one spoke. Then, slowly, Zoe stood and clapped loudly. Some guests followed. Emma smiled and joined in. The room filled with applause, except for her family. Later that night, Olivia stood by the bar, sipping sparkling water, staring out the window. Her mother approached first. That was unexpected. Olivia turned. Is that a bad thing? No, Denise said quickly. It's just we had no idea. You never told us you were doing all of that. Because I knew how you'd react, Olivia replied, her tone calm but firm. You've always treated me like the creative one, the soft one, the one who didn't fit in. Her mother sighed. That's not fair, maybe, Olivia said, but it's how it felt. Before Denise could respond, Jeremy walked over. So, he said slowly, you're a tech founder now. I've been one for a while, Olivia answered. I just didn't announce it at the dinner table. Jeremy looked at her, his expression unreadable. You really built that whole thing yourself? With a lot of work and very little support, she said. He nodded. Okay, I didn't know you had it in you. Olivia gave a small laugh. Yeah, neither did you. Zoe drove them home in silence for a while, the city lights flashing past the windows. Do you regret it? She asked finally. Olivia shook her head. No, I needed them to see me, not for their approval, just so they'd stop looking past me. Zoe smiled. Well, mission accomplished. The next morning, Olivia's inbox was full. Subject, press request from TechNext. Subject, potential partnership opportunity. Subject, can we interview you for Local Innovators podcast? Her story was spreading. She'd woken up invisible, but by nightfall, Olivia Mitchell was no longer the shadow at the table. She was the woman everyone wanted to talk to. By Monday morning, Olivia's name was trending on the TechNext website. Meet the Dark Horse founder, making AI tools for the people. Olivia Mitchell's Code Kindle is changing the game for small businesses. Her inbox was overflowing. Her phone buzzed with interview requests, investor inquiries, and even messages from old college classmates saying, I always knew you were destined for more. But back in her parents' house, things weren't so cheerful. Tuesday evening, Olivia received a call from her father. Come by the house tonight, he said. We need to talk. All of us. No congratulations. No, I'm proud of you. Just we need to talk. When she arrived, the living room was tense. Her parents sat on one couch. Elise sat on the armrest, scrolling her phone. Jeremy stood near the fireplace, his arms crossed like a judge, ready to deliver a sentence. Have a seat, her mother said stiffly. Olivia sat slowly, her heart thudding. Dr. Mitchell cleared his throat. Olivia, we are concerned. About what? She asked. This company. Pay attention, he said. You've put our family name in a national spotlight without speaking to us first. Olivia blinked. I didn't know I needed permission to succeed. That's not what your father means, Denise added quickly. It's just things like this attract noise, opinions. What if the business fails? What if the press digs into our lives? I'm not hiding anything, Olivia said. I've built something I'm proud of. Jeremy jumped in. You ambushed my engagement dinner. That was my night, Liv. You turned it into a pitch. She met his glare calmly. It wasn't a pitch. It was a moment I earned. No one is saying you didn't work hard, Elise added, finally looking up. But you didn't ask for advice. You didn't ask for help. Olivia's voice sharpened. You all made it very clear I wasn't taken seriously. Why would I come to you with a dream, when all I ever got were polite dismissals? Her father stood up, pacing now. You have to understand, Olivia. We raised you with options. You could have gone into medicine, law, education, all noble fields. Instead, you picked tech startups. I didn't pick a startup, she said. I picked a purpose. I saw small businesses getting left behind. I wanted to change that. And I am changing that. Silence hung heavy in the room. Denise finally whispered, You're not who we expected you to be. Olivia nodded. Exactly. And that's your problem, not mine. She stood up and walked out the door without another word.
Back at her apartment, Olivia dropped her keys on the counter and let herself cry for exactly 5 minutes. Then she opened her laptop. A new email had arrived from TechNext. We'd like to invite you to speak at the TechNext Gala in San Francisco. All expenses paid. Prime time slot. Are you available? Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then she typed, yes. Absolutely. Over the next few weeks, Olivia poured herself into the business. She hired 2 part-time developers and brought Zoe on as head of marketing. They upgraded the platform. Clients increased, and the TechNext Gala drew closer. She didn't speak to her family again. Not out of anger, but out of clarity. She needed space to grow without their shadows. The night before the gala, Zoe helped Olivia pick her outfit. A navy blue suit, sleek and professional. You nervous? Zoe asked, zipping up her suitcase. A little, Olivia admitted, but also ready. She paused. Do you think I'm doing the right thing? Going public on this scale? Zoe nodded. You're not just launching a company, Liv. You're redefining how people like you, quiet, underestimated, overlooked, show up in this world. The TechNext Gala was held in a grand convention center in San Francisco. Giant banners lined the walls. Tomorrow's leaders. Today. Olivia stood backstage, heart pounding, mic clipped to her jacket. She peeked out. Hundreds of people filled the auditorium. Investors, journalists, tech giants. She wasn't invisible anymore. The host's voice echoed through the speakers. And now our next speaker, Olivia Mitchell, founder of Code Kindle. Applause rose. Olivia stepped into the light. Her voice was calm, steady. When I started Code Kindle, I had no investors, no co-founders, no Ivy League degree. What I had was a problem I wanted to solve, and a world that didn't expect much from me. She paused. I built in silence. Not because I was ashamed, but because I was growing. And now I'm here to tell you, being underestimated is a gift. It gives you freedom, focus, fire, applause again. And to anyone out there who's been told they're too soft, too quiet, too different to lead, don't wait for permission to rise. Just rise. The crowd stood. Applause thundered. Zoe was crying in the wings. And in the far back of the room, Olivia noticed something she didn't expect. Her father, standing, clapping, a slow, thoughtful nod on his face.
3 days after the TechNext Gala, Olivia sat in her apartment living room, cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by papers, tablets, and coffee mugs. Her phone kept buzzing. A podcast invite, a message from a VC firm, a feature request from a startup in Chicago. Zoe walked in holding a copy of Tech Pulse magazine. Guess who made the cover? She grinned, flipping it around. There she was, Olivia Mitchell, arms crossed, a confident smile on her face. The headline read, "The Disruptor Nobody Saw Coming." Zoe tossed it onto the couch. You killed it. But Olivia didn't smile. Not really, Zoe noticed. Still thinking about your dad? Olivia nodded. He clapped, but he didn't say a word after. No call, no text, just silent approval from the back of a crowded room. Maybe that was his way of saying he's proud. Maybe, or maybe he was just being polite for the cameras. Zoe didn't push. She just sat beside her. So, what now? Olivia stared at her laptop. Now I take the next step. We've got enough attention. It's time to turn Code Kindle into something that lasts. Later that week, Olivia visited a small cafe in Bridgeport, one of her earliest clients. The owner, Maria, hugged her as she walked in. I can't believe I saw you on TV. Maria laughed. Because of your platform, I hired help, ran online orders, and grew my revenue by 40%. That's not tech, that's magic. Olivia smiled. It's just smart code, and people like you willing to trust it. As they sat and talked, Olivia realized something important. This real impact, real people, was why she started in the first place. Not magazine covers, not galas, not even proving herself to her family. But the family didn't stay silent for long. 2 days later, her phone rang. It was her father. Can you come to the house? He asked. There's something we need to discuss. Important. His tone was serious, unfamiliar. She hesitated, then said, Okay. That Sunday, Olivia arrived at her parents' home. It looked the same, but felt different, heavy. Her father led her to the study. Her mother, Elise, and Jeremy were already there. No one was smiling. Dr. Mitchell got straight to the point. We received a call from the hospital board. Olivia blinked. Why? They saw your TechNext speech, your interviews. They think it's concerning. Concerning. Olivia repeated. What part? The success or the fact I did it without you? Jeremy stepped in. You mentioned our name. In some articles, you're introduced as Olivia Mitchell, daughter of Dr. Samuel Mitchell. Now people are calling Dad, asking if he's invested in tech. I didn't write the articles, she said, and I didn't write his name. I built everything from the ground up. Denise added, Your rise is impressive, but now it's reflecting back on the rest of us. People are assuming things. Olivia stared at them, heart thudding. Let me get this straight. You're worried my success is making you uncomfortable? Her father looked pained. We just want you to be careful. Fame can be messy. I'm not famous, Olivia said. I'm just finally seen. That's what bothers you, isn't it? Silence. Then Jeremy muttered, You could tone it down, maybe lay low for a bit. Olivia stood up slowly. I spent years laying low, so you'd stop brushing me off like I didn't matter. Now that the world's listening, you want me to quiet down? Denise frowned. We didn't say that. You didn't have to, Olivia replied. She walked out of the study, past the hallway, through the kitchen, and out the front door without looking back. That night, Olivia sat at her desk, fuming. Zoe sat on the couch, flipping through messages. You okay? No, Olivia said honestly. They're embarrassed by me, not proud. Embarrassed. They're proud in their own twisted way, Zoe replied. But they're used to being the ones at the top. You changed the balance. I didn't want to beat them, Olivia said quietly. I just wanted to belong. Zoe stood up and walked over. You never needed to belong to their world, Liv. You made your own. The next day, Olivia received an invitation in the mail, thick ivory paper, expensive gold foil. You are cordially invited to the Mitchell family annual fundraiser gala. Olivia almost laughed. It was Jeremy's big charity event, formal, fancy, exclusive. At the bottom was a handwritten note. We hope you'll attend. It would mean a lot, Dad. Zoe raised an eyebrow. Interesting. Olivia held the card for a long moment. They want me to show up and be quiet, smile for donors, play nice, or, Zoe said slowly, you show up as yourself. 3 days later, Olivia walked into the Mitchell gala, not in a gown, in a modern white pantsuit with sharp shoulders, clean lines, and quiet confidence. She looked powerful, composed. People turned to look. She's the one from Tech Next, someone whispered. That's the AI girl, the smart one. The event continued. Jeremy gave a speech. Elise introduced donors. Her father smiled for the press. Then the host called out, we'd like to thank all members of the Mitchell family for continuing to inspire and innovate, including Olivia Mitchell, a name the tech world is watching closely. Olivia stood and nodded. No speech, no scene, just presence, and that was enough. She didn't need to fight anymore, because now they knew. 2 months passed. The gala was behind her. The magazine covers had faded, but Olivia Mitchell's world had only grown brighter. Code Kindle had doubled its client base. A national nonprofit had partnered with her to help under-resourced schools use her software. She had just wrapped a Zoom call with a government official who wanted to test her platform in low-income communities across the Midwest. And yet, what stuck with her most wasn't any of those wins. It was a voicemail. Her father had left it 3 days after the fundraiser. Olivia, your mother and I watched your interview on the Business Beacon channel. I still don't understand all the coding, but I saw you and I heard you. I think I owe you an apology. I'm sorry we didn't see what was right in front of us. He hadn't said much more, but that was enough. For the first time in a long time, Olivia didn't feel like a shadow in her own family story. She felt like a main character. One morning, Olivia walked into a sunny cafe near her apartment, Zoe's favorite spot. Zoe was already there, laptop open, stirring oat milk into her coffee. I got a wild idea, Olivia said, sliding into the seat across from her. Zoe grinned. I live for wild ideas. I want to teach, Olivia said. 1 weekend every month. Free tech workshops. Not online. In person. Real people. Real tools. Zoe blinked. You want to add work? I want to give back, Olivia said. If someone had offered me a space like that 5 years ago, I might have believed in myself sooner. Zoe smiled. Then let's do it. Code Kindle Academy. We'll build a site. Pick cities. Start small. No press, Olivia said. No cameras. Just people. Exactly. 2 weeks later, in a library basement in New Haven, Olivia stood in front of 20 people. Teenagers, single moms, small business owners, college dropouts, teaching them how to build their first website. The room was buzzing with excitement. One girl, maybe 17, raised her hand. Did your family support you when you started? Olivia paused. No, she said, honestly. They didn't understand me, and sometimes they still don't. But I didn't wait for their permission. I just kept going. The girl smiled. Olivia continued teaching. That night, back in her apartment, Olivia opened her journal. The same one she'd started 3 years ago, when Code Kindle was just a sketch on a napkin. She flipped to the very first page. It read, They think I'm soft, but I'm going to show them that quiet doesn't mean weak. It means focused. She smiled, then added a new line underneath. They saw me. Finally. But I never needed them to. I only needed me. A few days later, her mother called. Your father wants to invite you to speak at the hospital board luncheon, she said, sounding nervous. Not as his daughter, as a guest speaker, on innovation and impact. Olivia raised an eyebrow. You sure he wants that? Denise chuckled softly. He's nervous, but yes, he wants it. Okay, Olivia said. Tell him I'll think about it. And she did, but not because she needed their approval anymore. Now she had the power to choose. At the hospital luncheon, Olivia stood in front of an audience that once would have intimidated her. Doctors, donors, old professors, family friends who had once said things like, She's sweet, but she's not like Jeremy. Now they nodded, took notes, and listened. She didn't talk about code. She talked about courage. The bravest thing I ever did wasn't building software, she told them. It was believing in myself when no one else did. Her father sat in the front row. His hands were folded. His eyes didn't blink once. After her talk, he approached slowly.
You were incredible, he said, voice low. Not because you proved me wrong, but because you proved you right. She looked at him for a long time. Thanks, Dad. He smiled, and this time, it didn't feel forced. It felt real. That night, Olivia met Zoe at the park near their apartment. The skyline glowed behind them. The air was warm. Summer was coming. I think I'm done trying to fit into their mold, Olivia said. You already broke it, Zoe replied. They both laughed. Then Zoe nudged her. So what's next, Disruptor? Olivia leaned back on the bench and looked at the stars. Next, we scale. We hire more women. More first-gen founders. More people like me. People who don't look like leaders, but are. Because I'm not done being underestimated. They sat in silence, watching the city breathe. Epilogue. A year later, Code Kindle had expanded to 12 cities. The weekend workshops had grown into a national program. Olivia was named to Forbes 30 Under 30. But more importantly, she had become something she never thought possible, a person her younger self would be proud of.